Hello Leo, welcome to your weekly reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. This is for the week of March 26th through April 1st. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I'm providing. Okay. Remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you, and here is the Hierophant card. Hierophant card for Leo. Let's put that into some context with our Dove and Serpent spread. And as I do this, I want to say if there's anything that you need me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know in the comments, okay? All right, finishing up our Dove and Serpent spread. We got a lot of major arcana today. Seems like a pretty good balance of elemental energy. Let's do our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. And this card we are not going to look at until the very end of the reading, okay? So don't even ask. We're going to leave it right there. And you do have to stick around to the end to see that. Hopefully it will tie everything together, okay? Nice little package at the end. So we've got major, a lot of major spiritual forces in your life right now, I'll tell you that. And I think that they are influencing the decisions that you're making at present. I think you have very high spiritual goals, very high spiritual aspirations, and I think those are important to you, okay? We see some water and some fire here. We see some earth, fire, some more majors. Not a lot of water going on, not a lot of swords energy. I mean, it's mostly major arcana, so there's not a lot of elemental cards. It's mostly earth and fire, a little bit of water in the past. So I'm wondering who this water sign person is from the past that feels kind of cut off from our past a little bit. Okay, kind of feels cut off. We're going to take a look at that card. First we have this Hierophant card. I think first and foremost you are going through some really intense spiritual transformations right now. Some really intense spiritual work is going on. That I think you are consciously focused on, right? It's not something that's just like going on beneath the surface unconsciously. I feel like you're doing the intense spiritual work right now. I think that's your primary focus, okay? I think that it's been very intense lately, I feel. I feel like there's been a lot of kind of almost painful, like growing pains, spiritual growing pains, I feel like. Now, in this Hierophant card, I feel like there's an energy where you're someone who, I think for your entire life, really, you've always attracted really good people to you, quality people. I think that you are able to enter any environment, a new work situation, a new social situation, anywhere, at any time. I think you can just walk into a room. The room kind of lights up, and all of the kind of best people come your way. I feel like you have an ease about you. You really kind of magnetic, Like I like you already and I haven't met you. I feel like you make friends very easily, I feel like people want to come and say hi to you. They want to, introduce themselves to you, and they want to kind of hear about you, who you are, what you're doing, and your thoughts, your opinions about things. People just kind of want to know you. I feel like there's a real magnetism with you, and I feel like probably most of your life, I think you've made friends quite easily. Okay, generally speaking. I think you have this, like I said, this ease about you. It's kind of, even in intense situations, you just kind of keep your cool. You're kind of mellow, but not like lazy and not aloof. You're attentive and strong and powerful, but you're calm. you know? It's like things aren't bothering you. Even if it's a very intense situation or a very, an event that really is going to require swift action, and, there's some danger or something, or, a crisis, an emergency, you're still very cool even in that emergency, And I think people can sense that about you even in just a normal, everyday kind of situation. And I feel like that makes people really want to get to know you. And on top of that, you also have this kind of outgoing personality where you can go into an uncomfortable situation and just make friends, And I think some of these friends have been with you for a long, long time. I don't know that you have thousands and thousands of friends. I feel like you do. Like your Facebook, you probably have thousands of friends on Facebook, but your inner circle, those, the close friends, probably only a few. I don't know, 10, 20, 50, whatever it is. But a relatively small number compared to how many people you know, your acquaintances, the amount of people that you are friendly with is just, kind of mind-blowing. But your core people, your close friends, are relatively few. I think you like it that way, You like to keep your close friends very close. Everybody else, maybe at an arm's distance, that's okay. But I don't think you've really had trouble making friendships like this, But let's talk about that recent past, because there is this water sign person, they may not be a water sign person. I kind of feel like this is from a longer time ago, before we cared what people's astrological signs were, This could be when you were a young adult or even a child. I think that there was somebody in your neighborhood, maybe. Maybe it was like an older kid in your neighborhood. Maybe it was an older family member, an older cousin or something. But I feel like it's somebody that was close to you. And I'm not sure yet if it's physically close or, like spiritually close, genetically close, right? A cousin or something. I kind of feel in the same neighborhood as you. So maybe the neighbors, had an older child, someone who was older than you that you kind of looked up to. You kind of thought, wow, like that seems like a cool person. And I almost get this sense that you were trying to get to know that person, trying to meet that person, trying to become friends with that person. But maybe they, if you were elementary age and they were like middle school age, they probably didn't want to have anything to do with you. You know what I mean? But you just thought that was the cool kid of the neighborhood. And I feel like there's an emotional component here, because maybe they did kind of not see you. Maybe at the time you were just the little kid in the neighborhood and they had their own stuff going on. But you thought that they were just so cool, the way they handled themselves, the way they could, ride a bike and do all these tricks. Maybe they roller skating, whatever. Just seemed like they had it all together, and like they had these, they had friends, they had all these activities. And so I feel like you wanted to get in touch with that. But at the time, I think you were still rather young, and they didn't really see you. You were the little kid, But I feel like that affected you quite deeply. I think even now, this energy is still here. It's in the recent past, and I think that's kind of where the emotions, we're getting a disconnect here. I feel like this is kind of representing you as a little kid, and it's like you want to come and bring your toys over to their house, but they're just like, we don't play with those toys anymore. We're older kids. It was that it was that kind of idol that you had when you were little in the neighborhood. It could maybe, be an older cousin or something, but I feel like it's like the kid down the street, Just seemed like they were always doing something really cool. And you maybe weren't allowed to go that far down the street, or they were just older and they didn't want to have anything to do with, a little kid. So I feel like that in some ways it's still relevant for you now. I feel like it's still kind of maybe not something that you think about, but it could be something related to the spiritual work that we're doing now. It could be that a lot of these really ancient emotional threads of our lives right now. I say ancient just because it's so far back in, let's say, our childhood, that it takes a real effort to trace that thread all the way back to that time in our life, And it takes real work, and I think that's the kind of work that you're doing. And I think that there are these painful realizations for you, these kind of these emotional kind of breakthroughs, these spiritual breakthroughs that are going on. But I think what's going on this week that's kind of putting all of this in motion has to do with this justice or adjustment card. I almost wonder if there's if there's a neighbor now, someone near you that you're kind of having a conflict with, in your neighborhood, in your apartment complex, in the the community in which you live. I almost feel like some of this past, emotion, some of these kind of confusing feelings and thoughts, I feel like they're coming up again because you're in the middle of some kind, maybe a dispute, some kind of conflict or friction with a current neighbor, someone around you, not living with you, but somebody who's around you now. So a neighbor, someone in the house down the street, or in the apartment above us or something, And I feel like it's maybe even bordering on like a legal issue or some kind of a dispute. And I feel like that's kind of bringing a lot of old stuff up for you, And it may sound rather silly, but I feel like it happens a lot, I think, where some circumstances that are happening today have that connection, that ancient connection to the distant past for us. And I think by making the connections here, you're having these breakthrough tower moments. This tower energy is underneath the surface here for you. Okay. These are the kind of realizations, the breakthroughs, the really, like I said, those spiritual growing pains, that I think you're undergoing. And I think you're focused on this kind of spiritual work, especially because we see the star card on top of the path of the dove. You're focused on that. This is something that you're intentionally bringing about. Okay. And, I feel like with the tower energy there, I'm getting a few different lettered names here. I'm getting an L or a P name that may be involved in this kind of current situation for you. Mostly an L name, I think. Maybe the neighbor is the L person, perhaps. But I feel like you're kind of like, you're almost on the verge of just really kind of losing your shit over it. With some conflicts with neighbors like this, it's never really an easy situation, because regardless of how it turns out, regardless of the outcome, you're kind of, in theory, you're still stuck with this person, right? Unless one of you moves, you still have to live next to each other. So I feel like there's really this idea to try to contain some of this conflict, this friction, try to resolve it in an amicable way, a friendly way, a peaceful way, kind of win-win situation. And I think that's kind of what we see here with the Justice or Adjustment card. It's kind of, we want it to be fair. You want things to change and to to get better, or for the problem to be rectified, whatever really are the details. I don't know. You want things to be settled in a fair way, because otherwise you're gonna lose it. There has to be this kind of fair resolution, or you're taking matters in your own hands and you're gonna end up kind of losing your temper. So these major arcana cards have practical, mundane aspects, and they have their spiritual aspects too. Because I think these situations like this, if this is a dispute with a neighbor, some kind of conflict going on around in our community, around our home, it is just really, it's symbolizing. I mean, it's a fact on its own plane, right? It's a reality here on this plane. But it's also a reflection of what's going on within us and some of the things that we have to deal with. They're symbols too, They're true on their own plane, but they're also symbols of something else on a different plane. Okay? So above everything, we have that star energy. I think this is the spiritual focus that you have. This is you trying to really grow as a being, trying to make progress with your practices, your work, your meditations, your rituals and prayers. I think that you do have goals. They may still seem fairly distant, but you know what they are, and you're working towards these. And I think every time we have one of these tower moments, we're getting closer and closer to this star. It's almost like we're building the tower. We're building the tower to the heavens, right? We reach a certain point, tower comes crashing down. Okay? We rebuild it. But every time we rebuild, we're rebuilding on top of the work that we already did. So slowly we are getting higher and higher. The foundation is slowly getting higher and higher, right? Because we're building on the previous work. And that, I think, is kind of the way this spiritual work, the inner work, the alchemical work, the esoteric work, the occult work, the magical, mystical work, I think that's how it progresses, little by little. On the foundation that we built, we're slowly increasing. We're building upon the work that we've already done, the breakthroughs that we've already had, those aha moments, those attainments and those triumphs and those successes are not the final goals. They are really just the debris from these towers that crumble, and then we rebuild on top of the debris, So I think you're getting closer and closer to your spiritual goals, to your star, whatever your purpose is in life, whatever this sense of meaning is, whatever is calling you forward, to the heavens, to God, Goddess, deity, your guardian angels, your spirit guides, whatever you call it. I feel like that is your major focus, and then it's kind of an annoyance that we've got this conflict going on in our kind of horizontal world, our daily life. We've got this dispute with a neighbor, maybe, and it just seems kind of frivolous. It seems like, what is the point of these little petty arguments when we're doing such spiritual work? We have such lofty goals. What is the meaning of all of these little conflicts that feel so intense in the moment? Well, I think those are the things that really show us what the spiritual work is. those are the situations in which we can apply the spiritual knowledge and understanding that we've attained. And it is through navigating those experiences that we're building the foundation for every subsequent tower. And I don't think we'll ever really truly reach the spiritual goals. I don't think this is something that is attainable here on this plane in this lifetime. This is the perfect image of reality that we're striving for, but we can never quite attain it. Even if we were to attain it, that tower would fall, and then we would have to keep building. It's an ongoing, continuous, eternal process almost. And I think that's what we see in the immediate future too, with the Wands, not the Four of Swords. I was thinking on the other side of my head that we don't have any swords here. We don't have any swords, so it feels like the only air energy is this Justice or Adjustment card, which is okay because this kind of does the duty of all of the air. This contains all the air that we really need right now. And this is showing me or reminding me that there is a resolution to this conflict that you're in with this, what we're calling the neighbor, right? There is a resolution here. And it's also signifying that you are completely devoted. You see that central sword right there, that Ace of Swords, that's right there. That is you holding fast to your spiritual ideals, holding fast to what you believe in, not letting any of these kind of, let's say, petty conflicts divert you from your spiritual work, from your main task and purpose in life, right? That it is through these petty conflicts that we kind of come to even more certainty about our path, that you establish even more of this resolve, and you're holding fast to this central sword. Okay. Despite the fluctuation, the ups and downs, the conflicts, the turmoils, the constant change in the world around you, you're holding on to your central sword. You're holding on to what you believe in. You're holding on to the connection that you have with spirit, or whatever you call it. And this is the wheel that keeps on turning. Okay? So this is, yes, the resolution of this conflict with this neighbor. This is also the knowledge that more conflicts are coming. There will be more, of course. There will be more. Moving to the path of the Serpent now, before this video gets too long. We've got an Ace of Wands down here in your general energy. I think the Ace of Wands and the Tower kind of look similar, right? They have similar structure, similar force and energy. Feels like they're both towers, right? The difference is that this tower is one that crumbles and gets rebuilt, crumbles and gets rebuilt. The Ace of Wands is always standing, doesn't crumble. So despite the changing circumstances around you, despite the tower coming down and things seeming to just be destroyed and ruined and dismantled, there is that which does not change, does not get dismantled, does not crumble, is not affected by these changing circumstances. Okay, and that is your kind of eternal flame, so to speak. That is your divinity. Now, in the environment, we've got this Eight of Pentacles or discs. I feel like it's some caution for you to, in this particular circumstance, this conflict with a neighbor person, to take it slow and easy. Don't lose your temper. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't be too rash. Just take it slow and cautiously and be prudent and go slow with it. Let things happen. Let things resolve in the right way, etc. This is also, this is suggesting to me some, some growth, right? I don't know if when you were a kid, if your mom liked to plant flowers, right? Or maybe there was a little garden in the backyard. But I feel like it's kind of the slow nurturing, the everyday going and watering, seeing the flowers kind of slowly start to grow and blossom. And, by the end of summer, things were just so lush and beautiful and bright and fragrant. That it's that kind of progress that we want to see. It's the little bit of water day after day that is going to create the kind of lush garden at the end. So it's the slow, steady, cautious, not too much, not too little, just right. Every day. And every day you can't really see things growing every day looking at it. But down the line, you're going to see how much things really did grow and change and blossom and come to fruition. So despite the immediate lack of observable progress, you have to continue with your efforts day after day. A little bit of water. It's like when your mom had the flower garden, right? A little bit of water. She was probably very, very routine about it. Every morning at the same time, every evening at the same time, a little bit of water. A little bit of water. No anxiety. Wasn't worried that the flowers weren't growing. Just kept doing it every day. And she had probably the best flower garden in the neighborhood. So it's the same kind of energy needs to be applied to your life right now. And what we see next is very beautiful. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is kind of a sense of your own spiritual destiny, right? We had the wheel here that keeps on turning, the changing environment, the ups and downs, the kind of wheel of life, how there's going to be more challenges and conflicts. This one's going to be resolved, but there'll be another one at some point in life. You are coming to accept that as part of the beauty of being a manifested spiritual being. That's the beauty of being alive, is kind of the uncertainty, the constant change, right? And you're learning to, while not enjoy every experience, it's hard to enjoy like conflict, but you're learning to appreciate all of these different experiences, even the challenges. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is predicting, I think, this Four of Pentacles. The Wheel of Fortune is good fortune. It is things changing for the better, right? Things are kind of in conflict now. This conflict will resolve. You're going to be in a safe, stable, and secure and pretty powerful position. Things are going to swing your way for a while. Now, of course, you know that you're not always going to be at the very top of the hill. There's always going to be more challenges to come. Always going to be some bad weather somewhere. But for now, I think at the end of this particular cycle, this particular conflict or phase of things, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. And I think you're going to be able to enjoy the flower garden that you're growing, and maybe even enjoy a new kind of relationship with that neighbor person. Maybe this is giving you a little bit of a hint toward your tendency to kind of isolate. Maybe we do tend to close ourselves off to our neighbors, right? Maybe the Four of Pentacles is saying, hey, open your doors a little bit more. Smile and wave a little bit more often to those neighbors, rather than walling ourselves off in our castle or in our tower. Because that can be isolating, and that could be one kind of contributing factor to some of these conflicts that we experience. I want to look at that mystery card. I don't have much of an idea of what this is going to be. I want to say maybe some water energy or some air energy. Okay. I'm thinking probably air. Let's see. Oh, 5 of. Okay, 5 of discs. Maybe the 5 of discs, maybe this isolation, maybe this closing off of your doors and building up your walls and kind of isolating. Maybe you're going to be creating some movement there. Maybe you're going to be making a door. Maybe you are going to be opening up that door. You know, let the neighborhood in. Right? To, you know, maybe finally have that friendship with that neighbor that we were talking about from the distant past. You know, maybe now you're the cool neighbor. You know, so I think it's kind of being a little bit more open and welcoming, maybe doing things a little bit differently anyhow. Okay, and if you had any part in this conflict, you know, think about what contributed to that and what you could change. The 5 of discs, 5s are about change. So I think to go on business as usual might be a little isolating with that 4 of Pentacles. I think what's needed is a little bit of a change in your environment or your routine or your structure or the way that you kind of isolate yourself, you know. Because we did say at the beginning that something is kind of cutting us off from this water energy. So maybe we do need to change something in order to let a little bit of this water energy back in, a little bit of this love, sense of community, sense of togetherness, you know. Maybe that's how this conflict is going to resolve with this neighbor person. Anyway, Leo, thank you so much for letting me read for you today. We're going to do an extended. If you want to stick around, please click on the link that's right up here. Don't forget to hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel, especially if this resonated with you a little bit, okay? This was your weekly reading, March 26th through April 1st on Dove and Serpent Tarot.